assuming the mood at the club's a lot different this week than it was last week or the previous 14 weeks?
It is, yeah. We spoke to the boys after the game about really making sure they enjoyed the moment. Sometimes you get caught up in, when you've probably lost a fair few games in a row, you nearly forget what the feeling of winning is. So for the boys to get that feeling, our supporters and members to get that feeling, it was great, and we made them enjoy it over the weekend. And then, as footy does, it rolls around the next week, and they were back in Monday, and it was moving on to the Hawks. So really excited for another opportunity to get that feeling again.
What is it about that new coach bounce? I mean, you saw it this year. It's such a common thing where the coach departs and it just seems to be a real uptick in energy and effort. What can you put it down to?
I think you'd need a psychologist to be honest. It's a $1 million question, isn't it? I'm not sure if it's a release of pressure. You lose so many games in a row, and the pressure mounts on everyone: players, coaches. The media probably speculates a little bit more and puts that pressure on. So once that sort of pressure goes, and I don't have that pressure, I'm probably able to free up our players a little bit more, and they're able to respond. So I didn't answer your question, but I've actually got no idea.
It's not bad.
What does freeing up the players mean?
I think it's more, they probably don't think as much about the consequence. I think when you lose game after game, you start to think, well, if I turn that ball over, or if I make this decision, does it affect us? Does it affect the team in a negative way? And when a new coach comes in, there's really no looking at the scoreboard, and I suppose you can say, look at the scoreboard as much as you want, take that away, but in the back of their mind it's still there. Whereas when a new coach comes in, it just seems to be that, we'll just do this and see what happens, and there's no expectation on wins or losses.
And what's your review a game like last week, where Richmond had so much of the ball and so many opportunities? What's the actual, you get the result, but what's the actual review of that?
Yeah, we tended to look on the stuff that we did really well. Clearly, they had big parts of the game where they dominated, but we took the positive out of that clearly they didn't kick straight, and that's out of our control. But what was in our control was when they did dominate play in their forward half and control the game, we scrapped and we fought, and we didn't allow those easy goals, which probably we have in the past. So that was the positive out of us. We hung in there. The game wasn't in our terms, but we didn't let them score as easily as what they probably could have.
In terms of, like you said, the consequences sort of not weighing on the players' minds as much, how do you sort of transfer that to the last 5 weeks and what you can get out of them in that time?
It's probably similar to how we set the game up on the weekend. The scoreboard will look after itself. This is the way we want you guys to play, and get a little bit of ownership onto them. If we move the ball fast and we turn it over, just go and try and clean it up. We're going to get scored against from the mistakes, and it's letting them know that footy's a game of mistakes and we will make mistakes, but what can we do about it once we've made that mistake and try and clean it up? And if we can go in with that mindset and get the process of how we want to play right, we figure the scoreboard will look after itself.
What's your selection philosophy for this week and I guess the remainder of the season, now that you've got a win under your belt and the vibes around here are pretty good?
Well, this week will probably be different to weeks gone by. We're looking to try and back in the guys that are playing good footy at the moment, and we've had 2 really good weeks, although we didn't get the win last week. We thought the boys played really well that Collingwood game and probably should have won it. So guys that are in form, guys that are playing well in the team at the moment, they'll continue to stay in until guys knock them out from really good form in the VFL. And we did have some good performances on the VFL on the weekend as well, so we're really lucky that this time of year we've actually got some selection pressure on, which is great.
Aaron Hall?
He'll be in the conversation today. He's got to get through main skills today, but he'll be right around the mark.
Are there any players that you've coached at VFL level that you've been pushing for throughout the season for an AFL crack that you'll be looking to bring in, if not this week, over the next couple?
Most of the boys have had an opportunity. So Jackson Archer was in some really good form, so we gave him an opportunity. Callum Coleman-Jones was dominating in the twos, and we've got him in, and he played a good game on the weekend. We're hoping at some stage we can get Cal Dawson in. His form's been really good, but our backline held up well on the weekend. So there's guys down there, and there's guys that have been pushed out of the team that are playing well as well. So it'll be another interesting match committee today. We've got some blokes in form, which is good.
On Callum, obviously spent a lot of time with him at VFL level this year. He's got a big task ahead of him this week. Obviously, Reeves been in pretty good form. McAvoy's back in. What are your sort of expectations for him on the weekend?
He's a competitor, Cal. That's what we just want to see him. We want to see him compete, and that's what he did on the weekend. And don't forget about the old boy too. He's in some pretty good form, Goldie. So he keeps getting better each week. So as good a form as the Hawks are in their ruck division, we're pretty happy with the way our ruck division's going too. Don't know. We're going to give him every opportunity. He won't train today. We'll give him up till captain's run. He's improved every day. Will that be enough to improve till game day? We'll give him right up to it, but it's probably 50-50 at this stage.
Archer and Turner, they returned last week. Are they pushing this week?
They'll be around the mark. So Kano played a half and then was our 24th. So he played a half, and Jacko, from all reports, his first game back was really good. So we'll see. Both of them will train today. If they get through training, they'll be in the conversation.
Well, last 5 games, it's also a big opportunity for yourself, I guess. It's not very often people get to coach a senior team. You've got the chance. Do you sort of, I know there's been some big names linked to the club with the vacant job next year. Are you sort of putting your hand in the ring as well, or where do you sort of?
I said this in my presser after the game. If you can guarantee me the feelings that we have after the game, I'll put my hand up for sure. But at the moment, I'm in great. I've got 5 weeks of work experience to go, where I get to live in the senior coach's shoes and see if it's something that I like. I've been really lucky that the presses have been really nice so far. The media's been really nice because we're winning games of footy. Does that change after a few losses? Maybe, and then I'll get the full spectrum of a senior coach, and then I'll be in a better position to see if it's something I want to do or not.
And how important is it to continue this form of day in Tassie? I mean, you guys have failed to crack 10,000 fans for the last 9 games, going back to 2019. Are you hopeful that this result will sort of maybe get a bigger crowd this week?
I hope so. Yeah. All we can do is try and play some exciting footy that wants to bring the fans there. Hopefully they watched it on TV last week. Hopefully the weather's good down there and we can get a big crowd there. But Hawthorn as well, obviously being a part Tasmanian team, I suppose you'd say. Hopefully the fans turn up and we can get a big crowd there.
Lots been made of their head high crackdown. The AFL's obviously come out with a pretty strong statement, shrugging all that sort of thing. What are your thoughts on it? It's obviously it's a real fine line, but players do draw them by acting certain ways, but umpires are obviously starting to get a bit wise. How do you sort of view the whole thing?
Yeah, I'm in a bit of a unique situation, I suppose, that I actually retired from head-high injuries, so I'm all about protecting the head as much as you can, and I'd love to see, I'm hoping that this new rule brings about players stopping using their head as much as they do, because I think we're seeing more and more concussion-related injuries, and the more we can get that out of our game, hopefully this little tweak to the rules will stop guys from doing it, because there's no incentive to get the free kick. So that's my thoughts.
With that memo coming out during the week, do you change anything at training on tackling techniques and that kind of thing?
No, I don't think so. From our point of view, we don't have a lot of guys that use that technique from a drawing free kicks point of view. And no, we've always talked about going at the hips anyway. So if they're going to drop, we're still telling them to target the hips. And if the head's there, from this week onwards, hopefully, there's not going to be as many free kicks.
See, this week the club's asking for a priority pick. How do you sort of see? So on one hand, the club, the top brass is saying the list is pretty good, but on the other hand, you're asking for a priority pick. How do you sort of see? It seems a bit contradictory.
Yeah, I think everyone knows that the list is not probably as bullish as what's been made out. I think we've got a lot of talent. A lot of that talent's unproven at the moment. So we've got a really good 21. 18, 20, probably 23 to 18. I think we're in a pretty good spot, particularly through our midfield. We need to get some more 25 to 28-year-old guys in there to help those guys. So, obviously they're having those conversations now with the AFL. That's above my pay grade at the moment, but our list is good, but it's a bit unproven at the moment, I think.
Yeah, and I think Jeff Walsh presenting to the board today. How do you sort of see that going, possibly with the footy department?
To be completely honest with you, I've got no idea. I think what hopefully will come out of it, you'll see there's a lot of good work going on at this footy club, and there's a lot of good people putting in a lot of time and effort.
Yeah.
But hopefully whatever comes out of it, it's going to make our footy club better, because that's what we want. We want to be back playing finals and playing in big marquee games again. And if Walshy's got some stuff that he can do that can help our footy club, we'd be silly not to listen to it.
I guess you're in the football department. Does it make you? I mean, it's a ruthless competition, I guess, but does it make you a little bit on edge how it might go out?
Not really, to be completely honest with you. What if he thinks that I need to go to make this footy club better? If it makes our footy club better, I'm all for it. So, we've been working really hard as a coaching group. Unfortunately, one coach's already gone, and the likelihood is that probably more might go, just depending on who gets a senior job. And what we can control is the next 5 weeks and making sure that this coaching group and this playing group are never going to be the same again. And after this 5 weeks, we just want to make sure that whatever happens, we've put this group and this club in a better spot than when we got here for that first 6 weeks. Yeah.